Hi, good afternoon to all of you. So, shall we start? So, last week we had class, clear? And in the last session, we were discussing about reorganization of states. In fact, in this topic, we had discussed about integration of large number of princely states, several princely states. We had discussed about case studies of some princely states like Hyderabad. And at the same time, we also began to discuss about reorganization of states. And under reorganization of states, we had discussed about the major criteria, the most important being the linguistic criteria for states reorganization in India that resulted into creation of Andhra in 1953, followed by Andhra Pradesh or Vishal Andhra in the year 1956, as per the provisions of State Reorganization Act that was passed in 1956 under the provisions of or under the directions of Fazal Ali Committee, which was constituted by Government of India. Clear? And in this process, we began to discuss about establishment of several states, the most prominent in recent times being creation of a new state of Telangana that was created or carved out from the large state of Andhra Pradesh. Since some new faces are sitting here, I'll just recapitulate briefly before we go on to write about creation of Telangana as a separate state from Andhra Pradesh. Clear? First of all, I'll let you know, clear, that when Andhra Pradesh was created, it comprised of 3 geographical regions: coastal Andhra, Rayalaseema, and then later on Telangana, that is interior region. Clear? When this state came into being, the sole criteria was the linguistic criteria or the language criteria. Clear? But in course of time, people of Telangana began to realize that this integration has not been fruitful for them, and therefore they wanted to move away from Vishal Andhra or Andhra Pradesh. Clear? And the logic given by Telangana leaders was very clear to Indian government also. They started a movement for this known as Telangana movement, led by a political party known as Telangana Rashtra Samiti, TRS, headed by N. Chandrasekhar Rao or KCR. Clear? And this who is presently the Chief Minister of Telangana. Clear? Now, what were the major demands raised by Telangana movement? Understand briefly, largely related to geopolitical and economic factors. Clear? First major issue was related to division of the water of river Krishna and Godavari. Clear? The reason being, all major peninsular rivers in India being only rain-fed, they are not perennial in character. Clear? And therefore, water distribution always remains to be a controversial factor. Clear? 67% of almost the catchment areas of Krishna and Godavari being confined to Telangana, but they could not create any embankment or channelization because that water used to flow to Simandhra region, Andhra region before getting into Bay of Bengal. Clear? So just to get this water stored through embankment, it needed to get separated from Vishal Andhra or Andhra Pradesh. This was one major factor. Clear? Second major factor was that almost all prominent educational institutions being confined to the city of Hyderabad within Telangana. And that result into huge inflow of students, especially from Rayalaseema, the most backward one, and even from coastal Andhra to the city of Hyderabad. In this stiff competition, the native students of Hyderabad began to lose, and they realized their career is being sacrificed just because Telangana is unified with Vishal Andhra. So they also supported Telangana movement for separation. Another major factor was that almost all major big MNCs and corporations were also confined to Hyderabad. Clear? And that resulted in huge inflow of youth for job opportunities, and that resulted into stiff competition even for jobs as well. That affected the youths of proper Telangana. They raised the demand for separation because then Telangana or city of Hyderabad could have catered to the requirements of the native people. And last but not the least, it has been estimated by scholars that out of total revenue generated from Andhra Pradesh, more than 40%, exactly 44% of the total revenue came only from the city of Hyderabad. But it was used not only for the development of Telangana or Hyderabad, it was used for the development of Andhra Pradesh as a whole, that amounted to drain of resources from Telangana towards Rayalaseema and coastal Andhra. This also became a major point for Telangana movement to demand its separation. Clear? In order to address such demands, Indian government constituted a committee under the chairmanship of retired Indian Chief Justice B.N. Krishna. And this committee submitted almost 550-page report in which it justified all the demands of Telangana movement, but made it clear separation of Telangana is not required. Clear? Therefore, this committee rejected the demand for creation of Telangana, but guided by political mileage. And just before going out of power, the UPA regime in 2014 abruptly created the state of Telangana on 2nd of June 2014, which is the latest reconfiguration in the internal map of India. Clear? So these are guided by geoeconomic and geopolitical factors. We had discussed these major points. Clear? We were supposed to write about the creation of Telangana. What exactly have been written about reorganization of state till now? Nothing, right? Heading to altogether reorganization of states, please.
There is also a reorganization between Ladakh and Jammu Kashmir. Is it not a recent?
Yeah, recent development, because it has been done after abrogating the Article 370 of Indian Constitution. If you want, we can discuss that also. Clear? But first of all, write about Telangana. I'll let you know about Kashmir also. Clear? That is divided into 3 major sections recently: Jammu, Kashmir, and Ladakh. Clear? After abrogating Article 370, that means a special status of Jammu and Kashmir. We'll come to that. Clear? Right? States reorganization. Sikkim we have not written. Sikkim we have written. Yeah. Junagadh is not, because basically we are discussing only the major ones. Clear? Just because of paucity of time. Clear? But anyway, we have written about Sikkim. Sikkim is a very important one. Right? Reorganization of states in post-independent era. Reorganization of states in post-independent era. Right, introduction first. Clear? Right, with India's independence, demand for states reorganization, was raised by people in southern part of India, especially on linguistic criteria. Right, the Telugu speaking people demanded creation of states on the basis of language, which was initially rejected by several committees like JVP committee. One example, there were other committees also. Clear? JVP committee, the most prominent one. Clear? It's an acronym that stands for Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and P. Pattabhisataramaiah. Clear? Very important leader from Andhra only, a peasant leader. Clear? Who participated actively even in national movement also. Clear? So Pattabhisataram from Andhra, leader or Telugu leader. Right. Thereafter, a local Telugu leader a local Telugu leader, P. Sriramalu, a local Telugu leader, P. Sriramalu, sat on hunger strike. Sat on hunger strike to demand a separate Telugu state. To demand a separate Telugu state. That after epic fast for more than 50 days, after an epic fast, EPIC, for more than 50 days, P. Sriramalu died. P. Sriramalu died. And wave of sympathy went, and wave of sympathy went in favor of Telugu demand. In favor of Telugu demand. Clear? That consequently, the union government, created the state of Andhra, also known as Simandhra, comprising of coastal Andhra and Ralsima. Coastal Andhra and Ralsima. Ralsima is relatively backward compared to coastal Andhra and Telangana both. Clear? And rich in minerals, but it largely remains to be untapped even now. Clear? But largely considered to be relatively more backward than coastal Andhra, also Telangana. So huge influx came from Ralsima, both in terms of students, in terms of youth for jobs. Clear? Coastal Andhra and Ralsima. Right, with creation of the first state, on linguistic criteria, union government had to accept this criteria, and for further reorganization, it constituted, right in capital, the States Reorganization Commission, SRC, the States Reorganization Commission, SRC, under the chairmanship of Dr. Fazl Ali, along with two members, K. M. Panikkar and H. N. Kunzro. K. M. Panikkar and H. N. Kunzro. See, K. M. Panikkar is also a historian. Clear? Is also a historian. If you read Modern History by Bipin Chandra, K. M. Panikkar is one of the writer also in that. Clear? Is a great historian from Kerala, Malabar region. Clear? K. M. Panikkar is also important because he gave a very important analysis on the conquest of Bengal also. Clear? Whereby he said that the rich bankers and traders of Bengal sold their Nawab to British, because in the Battle of Plassey, it was basically a betrayal. Clear? Because battle was not fought on ground. It has already been settled by Robert Clive and important officers of Bengal like Mir Jafar and important bankers like Jagat Seth. Clear? So it was done. So that is why he is considered to be a very important historical analyst. H.N. Kunzru was a retired Chief Justice. Clear? And these two commissions, Fazal Ali was a member of Congress Party. Clear? Like based on the recommendations of this commission, Union Parliament enacted the States Reorganization Act, the States Reorganization Act in 1956. Write some of its provisions, very important, clear? That as per this legislation, as per States Reorganization Act, right? As per this legislation, language was adopted as a criteria. Language was adopted as a criteria to create states. But the doctrine of, right within inverted comma, doctrine of one language, one state. But the doctrine of one language, one state was totally ruled out. It is not possible in a multilingual country. We cannot create every state for every language. Clear? Ruled out. Right? At the same time, this legislation emphasized on socio-economic parameter. Along with tribal and ethnic considerations. To create states. Clear? States, right? However, the most important criteria included in this act, included under this act was administrative convenience. Even now, we create states based on administrative convenience. Provisions are clear. Major ones to create states. Administrative convenience, very important. It's along with tribal identity, socio-economic. This was followed when in 2000 we created set of 3 Hindi-speaking states from the 3 parent Hindi-speaking states. Clear? These states were Jharkhand, Uttarakhand, and even the region of Chhattisgarh. From 3 Hindi-speaking states, a set of 3 new Hindi-speaking states based on tribal consideration and socio-economic consideration. Clear? It was not language. Clear? So this has been accepted under the States Reorganization Act. Now just understand how things began to take. Clear? Some from the beginning only, since we have to discuss Kashmir also. Clear? The first 2 states to be created under the provisions of this act were the states of Maharashtra and Gujarat after bifurcating the large province of Bombay. Clear? These 2 states created on linguistic criteria on 1st of May 1960 when Marathi speaking region was separated from the Gujarati speaking region towards the southern side. This was first division done as per this legislation. At the same time, in course of time, another major reorganization that was done with respect to separation of Himachal Pradesh as a Hindi speaking state from the state of Punjab. Clear? This was done in the year 1962. And thereafter, after some time, another Hindi speaking state was carved out from Punjabi speaking region of Punjab, and that Hindi speaking state was Haryana. Clear? And therefore, the capital of Haryana and Punjab, Chandigarh, was declared to be a union territory under central government. Why union territory? And why common capital to Punjab and Haryana? Why? What could be the reason? They could have created a separate capital for Punjab, separate capital for Haryana, and that too, even though being the capital, it has also marked by a concept of union territory. Why center is so keen to have control over Chandigarh?
Chandigarh was the capital of
Punjab.
Shifting was some cumbersome activity. That's why they kept it.
It may be cumbersome, there's no doubt, but that has happened with other states also. Clear? When Telangana has been separated recently, Hyderabad for some time, but it has been made clear Amravati will be the capital of Andhra Pradesh. But for instead Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Uttarakhand, large area. Best planned city, most organized city, no doubt. Clear. Yeah, there is no doubt. Le Corbusier, French architect, planned the city on block pattern. Yeah. Congress. Okay, fine. Congress ko vote chahiye tha. That is also to some extent, no doubt. Congress took it for political mileage. Clear. But first Himachal Pradesh, then Haryana. But Himachal Pradesh had its own capital. What happened with Punjab and Haryana is still now. Even now, Sikh people demand that Chandigarh should be separated from Haryana. And they're ready to hand over some Hindi-speaking region of Punjab to Haryana in lieu of that. But why does central government does not accept this? The point is this. Clear? The issue is the concern of the Sikh militancy in Punjab. It's very important to understand. Clear? At that time, even though we bifurcated, but we wanted to have firm control over Punjab. Because right from beginning, from pre-independent era only, clear, Sikh community had been demanding a separate homeland on the pattern of the demand of Muslim League for Pakistan, clear. And since 1914, when Muslim League at Lahore session demanded a separate nation state, Sikh community in Punjab demanded a separate nation as Khalistan, clear. So Sikh militancy began to develop thereafter, and more so because being funded by NRIs, clear, large number of Sikh people outside India, especially in Europe and Canada, clear. So just to maintain or just to check the Sikh militancy in this region, it is very important to have control over the region of Chandigarh, clear. And that too, not only this, we also want to check the centrifugal tendencies by having Chandigarh as capital of Haryana also. So that there's complete movement of people on both the states, and Punjab remains intact with Indian Union. Clear? This is the most important consideration to have. Chandigarh as union territory also. Chandigarh as common capital of Punjab and Haryana, even though we have separated Hindi-speaking regions in form of Himachal Pradesh and Haryana. Clear? Very important, very sensitive states, because in post-independent era, a very important development took place in form of Operation Blue Star. Clear? Under the leadership of Indira Gandhi, and later on, under the leadership of a successful IPS officer, we went for flashing militancy in Punjab during the regime of Rajiv Gandhi. That civilian IPS officer being Kanwar Pal Singh Gill, KPS Gill. Okay? Very important developments in post-independent era. So first of all, reorganization of Punjab after some time as per States Reorganization Act. Okay? Right? Under the provisions of the States Reorganization Act, provisions of the States Reorganization Act, 2 Hindi-speaking states were carved out. 2 Hindi-speaking states were carved out from Punjab, in form of Himachal Pradesh, in form of Himachal Pradesh and Haryana. Haryana. Right. However, Chandigarh has been retained. Chandigarh has been retained both as a union territory, as well as a common capital, as well as a common capital, primarily to check centrifugal tendencies, primarily to check centrifugal tendencies. I hope you understand this tendency. Move away from union. Clear? Centrifugal tendencies. This was in the decade of 1960s. Clear? Change paragraph. Right. Indian government went on to create new states, through ordinary legislation. We don't need a special constitutional amendment act. Through ordinary legislations in different parts of India, but most comprehensive and consistent reorganization, has been done in the northeastern region. Very sensitive. In the northeastern region. Just understand. Clear? At the time of India's independence, there was only one large state in the entire northeastern region. That state was Assam. Clear? Assam was a British-ruled province from the beginning. Clear? There was another region which was a princely state that signed instrument of accession with Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. This princely state was that of Manipur. The ruler of Manipur, Bodh Chandra Singh, signed instrument of accession with Government of India. It became an integral part of Indian Union. Another very sensitive region was the region of Northeastern Frontier Agency, or NEFA. Clear? And this NEFA was integrated into Indian Union in 1953 as a full-fledged state of Arunachal Pradesh. Clear? At the same time, apart from Arunachal Pradesh in the north, Manipur in the southern side, clear? The large fertile plain area largely was under the command of one single state, that is Assam. Time and on, based on ethnic criteria, socio-economic criteria, climatic factors, states has been carved out from the state of Assam. So even though Assam now also remains to be the largest state, but it has been divided consistently in post-independent era. Clear? First of all, from Assam, a state was created towards its southern side, which was originally named as Tipera. And later on, we named this state as Tripura. Clear? It came into being after being carved out from the region of Assam. Clear? At the same time, in course of time, from Assam in 1963, Naga-dominated region was segregated on ethnic ground, and a new state in form of Nagaland was created. Clear? Since one state on ethnic ground was created by bifurcating Assam, another ethnic ground was followed to create a state of Mizoram, dominated by Mizo tribe. Clear? Based on climatic condition, Assam was again bifurcated to create the state of Meghalaya, as known as abode of clouds, because of continuous rainy conditions. Clear? All these bifurcations done from a single state, Assam, that itself indicate high degree of diversity that exists in northeastern part of India. Very important development. Sister of seven sister states, if we exclude Sikkim from this northeastern group. Clear? Very important development in post-independent era. Clear? Right. From the state of Assam, several other states has been created other states has been created on ethnic and socio-economic grounds. On ethnic and socio-economic grounds. Clear? Like the southern region of Assam, the southern region of Assam, originally known as Tipera, originally known as Tipera, was bifurcated to create the state of Tripura. To create the state of Tripura. One major thing, clear? Tripura. Change paragraph, right? Based on tribal and ethnic considerations. Tribal and ethnic considerations. Nagaland and Mizoram. Nagaland and Mizoram were created as separate states, dominated by Nagas and Mizos respectively. Dominated by Nagas and Mizos respectively. See, this bifurcation, you should know in general studies, clear, was not done in a very perfect sense because pockets of Nagas remained confined to other areas. And in course of time, it led to a much severe conflict known as the demand for creation of Greater Nagaland. Clear? And this demand for creation of Greater Nagaland to incorporate other Naga-dominated regions resulted into a great Nagalim and great crisis of our internal security. Clear? This has been a big problem for India in northeastern part of India because of the demand for Greater Nagaland, pockets of Naga-dominated regions, even outside the frontier of Nagaland. So Nagaland and Mizoram. Clear? Change paragraph again. Based on specific climatic conditions, based on specific climate conditions, Meghalaya was separated from Assam. Meghalaya was separated from Assam as the region known for the wettest place on earth. Known as Cherrapunji, Mausinaram, clear? The wettest place on earth. Abode of clouds, the wettest place on earth. Clear? Right. Apart from such divisions, the northernmost region of Assam, the northernmost region of northeastern India, the northernmost region of northeastern India, known originally as Northeastern Frontier Agency, NEFA, originally as Northeastern Frontier Agency, NEFA, became a full-fledged Indian state. Full-fledged Indian state as Arunachal Pradesh in 1953. Clear? Right. Moreover, Manipur was integrated before States Reorganization Act. 1940. All integration of princesses were done before 1950. Then only constitution came into force. What was the use of constitution if unity or unified India was not there? Where the provisions could have been implemented. Make it very clear. It's very important conceptual. Until as India as a defined political entity could not have come into picture, what was the utility to have a constitution? Where we could have implemented the provisions. Clear? If the pockets of princely states could have remained independent. Why we were very keen to integrate Hyderabad. Hyderabad was located in between Indian territory. If it could have remained as an independent nation, do you think that the sense of unity could have prevailed among India? And how could we could have implemented provisions, especially like Citizenship Act, because we believe in single citizenship. That could have created a huge confusion. So first of all, integration was to be completed. Then only after integration, we could have gone for reorganization of states, because reorganization of states was not a big task. It can be done anytime by government of India through only ordinary legislation. We don't need to go for Constitutional Amendment Act. That itself is mentioned under Article 3. Article 3 says that area of any state can either be increased, can be decreased, boundaries can be changed, and even names can be altered only through ordinary legislation. We don't need constitutional amendment for that. But that all makes sense only when all the princely states contiguous to India at least were integrated. Then only constitution could have made sense. Clear? If you look at constitution, draft of constitution took 2 years, 18 months or 11 months, and these days these are nothing. Basically they waited, they wanted time, because they gave this full opportunity to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel to integrate the princely states as soon as possible. Clear? Except 2 regions that also need to be understood, and these 2 regions were largely under the control of Portuguese and the French. Clear? And these were basically the region of Goa. Goa could not be taken at that time, but at the same time, French gave all the areas like Pondicherry peacefully to government of India in 1956. Pondicherry, Yanam, Karaikal on the eastern coast, Mahe on the western coast. Goa was not given by Portuguese. We had to go for military strategy, and in 1961 we integrated Goa forcefully. But that was only exception, and that too all areas in the coastal belt, nothing located in the interior part of India. So we could have continued, but leaving aside princely states in the interior India, what was the point of implementing the constitution itself? It never made any sense at the time. Clear? So first of all, integration.
Is there any reason this was for Northeast Agency and not province, because we had a
See, yeah. What could be the logic that it was known as Northeastern Frontier Agency, not Northeastern Frontier Region?
the word
Agency, yeah, obviously it makes sense why it was known. I'll come to your question, but first of all, please, clear? There's one question to be answered online, and it's a sensitive thing. Clear? There's a student, Taran Ma. Clear? The demand of Khalid, it's a sensitive thing. Clear? We do respect to the sentiments of all communities in India. The demand of Khalistan is not demanded by whole Sikh community. There's some few people who demanded it. Correct this also. Obviously, clear. This must be understood that it was not en masse the whole Sikh community who demanded Khalistan. Like with respect to Pakistan also, all Muslims did not demand Pakistan. Majority of them remained within India. Clear? It was not a demand raised by all the Sikh community as a whole. Few of them demanded a separate national state, that is Khalistan. Clear? So whole Sikh community cannot be held responsible for this. Few of them. That is true. Clear? So obviously, with due respect to sentiments of everyone, it was not the whole Sikh community. That has to be corrected. True. Clear? Yeah, coming to back. Clear? What was your question, please? Agency. Why do we call it agency? Northeastern Frontier Agency. Any one of you, why it isn't? In the, all of you may be attending general studies somewhere the other way, or you must be reading on your own. What do you know about the boundary line between India and China, which is known as McMahon line? What do you know about that line? Any idea about that line? Then only we can understand. India and Tibet, true, to some extent, 1914, before First World War. Line of action much later, clear, much later, after 1962 war, clear. What is basically what basically is the McMahon line? Basically, McMahon line was a line drawn by British officer McMahon in 1940 to demarcate, especially Tibet from India. Clear? This was one thing, but at the same time, China was not a nation at that time. So when China became a full-fledged country in 1949, China made it clear that this is an imperial line. They use the term imperial line, and they will not respect this line. So from the beginning, since 1949, China has never respected the McMahon line. Clear? Since China has not respected the McMahon line, clear? The boundary that divided between India and Tibet. Just because of this, in 1950, China led aggression against Tibet, and Tibet became a part of China. Clear? This was totally often opposed by India because India wanted Tibet to remain as a buffer zone between India on the one hand, China on the other hand. But in the course of time, Tibet became integral part of China. Clear? And thereafter only we give asylum to Tibetan Buddhist leader Dalai Lama, and paid a huge price for that. Clear? Because China made it very clear any country giving asylum to Dalai Lama will face the music. Clear? India gave asylum because we were very confident about Panchil Agreement signed in 1954. China did not respect that. China declared unilateral war against India. Clear? This was in the year 1962, Sino-Indian War. But at the same time, clear? This region that was, since McMahon line was not respected, that demarcated the boundary in the region of Arunachal Pradesh also. Clear? It could not be given the status of a full-fledged territory. It was considered to be something to be controlled in the form of agency. So we termed it as Northeastern Frontier Agency. But since it came under the line of control, or rather McMahon line, it became a full-fledged part of Indian territory. But later on, after 1962 war, China did not respect that also, entered into Arunachal Pradesh and established control over Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh. Clear? And at the same time, northeastern Kashmir also, Ladakh region, especially known as Aksai Chin. That is known as line of actual control. Clear? So this is why, that is the reason it was known as NEFA. Later on, we called it as a full-fledged state in 1953. We named it as Arunachal Pradesh. This is clear. So integration or reorganization of states that was done in the northeastern part of India. So Manipur, right about Manipur, clear? Right. What was the sentence period? Right. Moreover, Manipur was integrated with Indian Union, as a princely state, that signed instrument of annexation, with Indian government, Bodh Chandra Singh, with Indian government. Reorganization, change paragraph, clear? Right. In the year 2000, another comprehensive reorganization took place. Comprehensive reorganization took place when a set of three Hindi-speaking states, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and Bihar were divided to create Uttarakhand, Chhattisgarh. This is the right order also. Uttarakhand, Chhattisgarh, and Jharkhand. So not on linguistic criteria, but on socioeconomic criteria. Clear? Right. As soon as this organization took place, the Telugu-speaking people of Andhra Pradesh, 2000 only, the Telugu-speaking people of Andhra Pradesh established a political party, as Telangana Rashtra Samiti. TRS, to demand separation of, to demand separation of Telangana state. Separation of Telangana state. Yeah, right. This party headed by K. Chandrasekhar Rao, KCR. This party headed by K. Chandrasekhar Rao started the Telangana movement. And highlighted important reasons to separate Telangana. Right, point wise, the major reasons. Clear? Right. The 67% of the total catchment area, the 67% of the total catchment area of rivers Krishna and Godavari, are confined to Telangana. But it could not be utilized round the year. It could not be utilized round the year for irrigation. Clear? Second point, right? Clear? Right. Most of the prominent educational institutions, especially engineering colleges, are confined to the city of Hyderabad. Right, next sentence within same point. Clear? Right, however, next sentence, same point. Right, however, huge inflow of students from Simandra, that is coastal Andhra and Rayalaseema. Huge inflow of students from Simandra, especially Rayalaseema. Affected the fortune of native students. Clear? Right, third, right, Hyderabad is also a hub. Of several multinational corporations. With huge job opportunities. Okay. Right, next sentence within same point. Right, however, due to influx of educated youths from Simandra, it led to stiff competition for native youths of Telangana. Clear? Hyderabad being located within Telangana. Right, next point, fourth one. Clear? Right, it has been estimated it has been estimated that out of the total revenue generated, out of the total revenue generated in and unified Andhra Pradesh, in unified Andhra Pradesh, almost 50%, exactly 44, almost 50% was generated in the city of, was generated in the city of Hyderabad. Hyderabad. Right, next sentence within same point. Like, however, state revenue was used for the development of whole Andhra Pradesh, for the development of whole Andhra Pradesh, that amounted to drain of resource, amounted to drain of resource from Telangana. From Telangana. See, I'll let you know. It's a very sensitive term to understand. Clear? Why do we keep on emphasizing the word in polity known as cooperative federalism? Clear? Why we keep on emphasizing? Clear? It is a very important thing to be understood is that unexpected economic growth in one state itself is a danger to federal setup in India. Do understand, it's a very sensitive thing. Rapid economic growth and development in one state as compared to other states itself is a threat to federal setup in any part of the world. The reason is, if one state will develop very rapidly, clear, obviously, do you think that it will be ready to share its resources for the rest of the country? Because obviously it will believe that it is being, or the state is being cheated, clear, because they are generating this revenue because of the hard work, but it is being distributed for the development of even those states which are not working or contributing towards economic growth. So rapid economic growth and development itself is a big threat for federal setup, clear, and that is why, clear, Planning Commission, right now known as Niti Aayog, its most important objective with respect to resources is to ensure, there's a very important term in geography, clear, which is the most important and fundamental objective of Planning Commission in India, Niti Aayog. Why it has been established? Huh? Productive development. Collaborative. Yeah, it can be there. Equitable distribution of resources. But that is a part of the state. That is the duty of the state. Clear, to ensure equitable distribution of resources. Cooperative. The most important objective of Niti Aayog is to ensure, very important term that we use in geography, balanced economic development, balanced regional development. Clear? Why do Planning Commission emphasize on this word balanced regional development? Meaning thereby, if it is asymmetrical in nature, obviously it will be a threat to the whole federal setup. Why do people from eastern states like Bihar, Jharkhand, and Bengal are being discriminated in economically prosperous states of Gujarat and Maharashtra? Clear? You keep on saying in papers, clear? Just because of unequal distribution of or unequal level of economic development, because that leads to huge inflow of people from backward states to other developed states. If it is balanced regional development, such phenomena will not be witnessed, and that will keep intact the whole Indian federal setup. Clear? So balanced regional development is the most important objective to be ensured, to keep the federal setup also going, that too in a peaceful manner. Clear? It's a very important objective. Clear? In geography, we use this term, balanced regional development, because without this, it cannot lead to successful federal setup in any part of the world. Clear? This is important. So that is why it was basically the development in the Telangana region that amounted to drain. So they demanded that there's no point of remaining unified with Vishalandhra. Simant should be separated, Telangana should be separated. Clear? So valid demands raised on the part of state. Clear? That in order to address this concern, Union government constituted an expert committee. Union government constituted an expert committee under Justice B. N. Krishna. Justice B. N. Krishna. B. N. Krishna. That this committee accepted the demand. This committee accepted the demand of Telangana leaders. But refused to separate Telangana. From Vishalandhra, Big Andhra, from Vishal Andhra. Yeah. Right. However, Union government took an abrupt decision. To separate Telangana. On 2nd of June 2014. 2nd of June 2014, guided by political considerations, cannot be denied. Guided by political considerations. Telangana movement, clear? Change paragraph, clear? Right. Recently, the internal map of India. The internal map of India has been reconfigured. By making changes in the sensitive state. Of Jammu and Kashmir, JNK, of Jammu and Kashmir. We'll discuss the status, Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh, clear? Recently has been reconfigured with respect to the sensitive state of Jammu and Kashmir, JNK. We'll come to that. It's very important, clear? Especially with respect to abrogation of special provisions, clear? It's clear. Say time is only 1 hour for me, clear? But anyway, tomorrow we'll start with this. We'll discuss Jammu and Kashmir and then we'll start with land reforms. Very important, clear? Land reforms in post-independent era, both as a voluntary measure and constitutional measures. Please.
Is there any difference between boundary and frontier?
Boundary and?
Frontier.
Frontier. There's a difference between boundary and frontier. I'll let you know, just give me time tomorrow, clear? There's a difference between boundary and frontier, clear? And in fact, there's a very strategic difference between boundary and frontier.
Point was
हाँ. हाँ.
काफी न्यूज़ में था like
हाँ.
DFC council
हाँ. There are many reports like that, clear? Yeah.
other states like Bombay, Gujarat, they are saying that government is हम लोग का जो हिस्सा है वो दूसरे को दे रहे हैं like North-Eastern.
Distribution of resources is a major thing. Finance Commission has been doing that, clear. Finance Commission has been giving this option that it's skewed in nature. Division of resources, GST also, clear. States are not getting their share also. See, actually there's another session online, clear. So just we'll have to wind up, clear. Tomorrow we'll continue from here, clear. Thank you. At 3 o'clock, same time.